Do you want to know the real difference between an amateur golfer and a top level professional when it comes to ball striking? In today's video, we're going to show you exactly how to do it and how you can potentially get good at golf. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson. If you want to do just that, make sure you do consider hitting that subscribe button below. And of course, throw a like on this video if you think it helps. Today, we're going to help you with your ball striking. And the best golfers in the world, they have lots of different swings, lots of different top of the back swings, lots of different grips, lots of different stances. And of course, they are all lots of different shapes and sizes. But they all have one thing in common when it comes to ball striking. They all have a little bit of forward shaft lean, and they all keep that club head generally behind the hands for as long as possible. Now, what do I mean by that? Because if I were to keep a club head behind the hands, do I have to have excessive wrist coil here? Do I have to really try and keep the lag down there? No, not at all. That'd be a very difficult thing to do, and you'd have to time it incredibly well when it came down to impact. So I've got 3 clubs here. I'm going to utilize them in my practice to help you strike a golf ball just like a tour pro, hopefully, if you practice. So I'm going to set 1 club down initially for my alignment. So we're on the 2nd hole here at Woolley Park Golf. We're going to aim pretty much for the bunker that's in the distance. It's imperative when you do practice, you do have a target line, because otherwise you could be striking the ball really well, but you don't really know where it's going. Is it going right? Is it going left? You could be kind of kidding yourself that you're having a good practice session. So we're going to aim at that bunker. Then I'm also going to put a 2nd club down for the middle of my stance here. I'm going to put the grip side, so if there are any mishaps, it shouldn't hurt too much. But this is just a nice solid grid now, and this should be something you've seen before in practice lots of different times. This is how generally we would start to teach beginners for weight shift and things like that. But actually it can help not only beginners, it can help mid-handicappers, it can help high handicappers, it can even help low handicappers if you really want to get down to scratch or start competing as a professional, like that man. Something like that. Anyway, so if I want to compress the ball properly, we've already mentioned that I want to keep the club head behind my hands. So to do that, I have to get the club head behind my hands. So when I set up here, I've got a 5-iron. I want this ball just forward of centre. So you'll see here I've got my right foot a little bit further behind that shaft. And from there you might think, right, so from here, if we give you a bird's eye view now, you'll see that I can have the shaft in line with the middle shaft here, or I can have it behind. So if I have my hands behind the club head, that's a terrible start for what we're trying to do, isn't it? So essentially what I'm going to do is move that shaft forward, so we've got the grip on the left-hand side and the club head on the right-hand side of that grip. So that should give you a really nice view as to how we're going to do that. Once that's there, and once I have forward shaft lean generated at address, this is imperative, because if you get started at address, it makes it so much easier to strike the ball better. I also want a little bit of weight on my left side. A lot of people say when you stand to a golf ball, I want you to stand 50-50 so that you're nice and balanced. But generally, the best ball strikers in the world will start with the weight slightly left. And when I've worked with shot tracers, when I've worked with body track, when I've worked with swing catalyst, it works really well, because if you have a little bit of weight on your left side and the handle left, guess what happens as we move that club away? It's almost like you are a sprinter in the starting blocks. Henrik Stenson does this incredibly well, and you can push off to that right-hand side to the top of the backswing. So if I was on a body tracer now, if I had my kind of pressure mats below me, first of all, it'd say, James, what's happened? But also it would say I have about 80% of weight on my trail side, so my right side, or 80% of pressure, sorry. From here, as I rotate down, and there's a key word there that I've mentioned that we'll revisit, you'll see how that club head stays behind my hands, behind my hands. I'm delivering that club to impact. I've actually got more forward shaft lean than I had at address, and you'll see that my weight's now back on that left side. What's happened to my hips? My hips haven't gone back and through there. They haven't just slid side to side, they've rotated. So the key here is rotation. Rotation of the hips, rotation of the arms, rotation of the torso, and doing it in a manner that allows you to move that pressure from your right side to your left side. This is imperative when it comes to compressing the golf ball. And if I were to put this in motion for you now, you'll see how I can load up to the top, make sure I've got the club nice and high at the top, start rotating down. You'll even see my left knee start to open up a little bit there. And as I get to impact, my buckle's facing this way. It's not quite facing target because I'm not that flexible, but I've moved my left pocket backwards. So I've rotated nicely. That clears an area here where my hands can move through. So if my hands are moving through where my left hip was, you guessed it, that shaft is now leaning nice and forward. And what's that done to the dynamic loft, Bobby? It's de-lofted it. Of course it has, it's lowered it. So there I'm going to get a nice penetrating shot, and that is exactly how golf pros hit lovely, low penetrating golf shots, just like that one, with a gorgeous divot after the shot. Guys, if you've enjoyed that, you think it's going to help you, make sure you do consider hitting that subscribe button below, and of course throw a like on this video if you think it's helped.